Here are the facts surrounding Paul Bixler. He's a 72-year-old biological man. For the most of his life, he has been married, has 2 children. He has lived the life of a biological man. He is attracted. He was married to a woman for 40 years of an elementary school in Buckeye, Arizona, Elementary. This man is claiming to be a woman. It's a bad picture. Hold on. There we go. This man tells the little school that he is a woman. He wears clothing, he wears lipstick, and he uses the same restroom as your little girls. He also uses the women's locker room at East Sporta Fit in Goodyear, Arizona. He has been spotted yesterday in the women's locker room in East Sporta Fitness in Goodyear, Arizona. He went on local television claiming victimhood because people like myself, parents who have the right to speak up against their elected officials, are harassing and bullying him. Paul Bixler cannot be voted off the school board. He must either willingly step down or be recalled. The recall is being started. Please email Paul Bixler. His email is in the description. Let him know kindly that he stepped down from the school board willingly and cease and desist from using women's facilities, or charges will be filed with the Buckeye Police Department.
All right, guys. So we got to talk about a very, very fast one that's going viral involving Paul Bixler, a transgender school board member for police.
I am at the gym. Who's undressing in the locker room, top off, bra off, and Paul Bixler was in the women's locker room, and he looked at me, he looked at my breasts, and I have called the police. So recently, he's used the men's locker room. So he agrees himself that he's a man. I have told the police that I was in the locker room, a man was in there, I was getting undressed, he looked at me. He is a man in the women's locker room, and the response is that this is a touchy, sensitive issue in society. Yeah, there he goes, women's locker room. There's going in the women's locker room.
Bruh.
Oh, there's no one undressing in there. Hope there's no naked women in there. Since there's a man, why isn't anyone
There's
warning
no
the
third
women?
option? No arrest?
Just so everyone knows, he's not being arrested. We are at a point where we're catering to society instead of facts. Why do you use the men's restroom sometimes and the women's restroom sometimes?
Please stay away from it, please. Yes, politely, like I said.
He will suffer no consequence. By show of hands, I'm curious, how many of you believe and confess that I'm a cat? Great. By show of hands, I'm curious, how many of you believe that your child or a child from this school would believe that I'm actually a cat? No one. You are right. Why? Because you are not stupid, and these children are not stupid. Truth prevails over imagination. Reality exists. Discernment is innate and something we are biologically wired to have. One look, you know this to be true. I am a woman posing as a cat. You may also think correctly that if I truly believe I'm a cat, if I suffer from a mental disorder, and if I'm unable to discern reality, am I safe to be around children? Would you put me in charge of making critical decisions about the safety and well-being of children and about the direction of their education when I cannot even discern truth from fiction?
Story, a school board member in the Valley is now the subject of bullying, harassment, and threat because she's transgender.
Her gender identity has become a talking point and a target at recent school board meetings. Team 12's Bianca Bono attended the Liberty School Board meeting this week and sat down with a member who hopes the new year will bring an end to all the hate.
We saw multiple grade levels.
There are few more passionate about education.
First grade picks up the text.
Than Paul Bixler.
My professional career has been in public education.
She started as a teacher in Phoenix in 1976, working her way up to administrator and principal. Paul now sits on the board for the Liberty Elementary School District in the West Valley.
I wanted to add to the board.
Paul was motivated to come out of board seat in 2020 after watching the board face turnover and tough comments during COVID.
I figured with the expertise I was bringing in, it would be good stability.
At the end of 2022, she never predicted the comments would next target her.
Grooming and the trans ideology.
Trans grooming in our children's schools.
It is not the place to celebrate a grown man with a mental illness dressing as a woman.
Painful personal attacks.
I could not believe what they were saying.
All because she is a transgender woman.
I do not choose to be transgender.
From the time Paul was a child, she knew she was different.
By about 11 or 12, I was pretty sure I knew what was going on.
That was in 1961.
There was too much risk.
Paul eventually married her wife, Candace, had 2 children, and a long, loving marriage.
My wife was aware of it, but it was absolutely clear that it was uncomfortable for her.
In 2017, Paul's wife died of cancer.
I decided at that point that if I was ever going to explore what my real feelings were, this would be the time.
At first, the support was overwhelming, but things changed at a November board meeting when public comment turned into this.
Until Paul Bixler resigns, I will continue to vote no.
Resign.
One of the speakers then escalating her comments on Fox News.
He grew his hair out a little bit and he wears his deceased wife's clothing to school.
Targeting not only Paul, but her wife.
My wife was the gentlest, bravest, most grace-filled person I ever met. She was an incredible human being. And they attacked her.
From there, hateful emails and letters like this one.
Have you been afraid for your safety?
There were a couple of emails that got my attention.
But still, Paul continues to do her job.
We have to go back to Mr. Bixler
At Monday night's school board meeting, more comments,
because he's still here.
but also words of support.
Please show some human decency.
Not sure we've had a board member who is as knowledgeable as Miss Bixler.
Paul holding on to that positivity, refusing to resign, hoping speaking out at the start of a new year puts an end to the attacks.
This sideshow that they're trying to promote is taking away from the real business we ought to be doing. So I'd like to get back to the job of a school.
Hey, John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith.
There was a funny little man who had a funny name, but he was very proud 'cause no one else's was the same. And then one day he left his town to start out on his own, and met a total stranger 1,000 miles from home who said,
John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith. That's my name too. Whenever I go out, the people always shout, hey, John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith. Da 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 da.